everyone, and welcome to Pink Pixels. This one is a big moment for us. Pink Pixels started as a content series at the Gamehers to spotlight women driving culture and the culture of gaming. Creators, founders, streamers, leaders who were building incredible things without the recognition that they actually deserved. So over the years, Pink Pixel has lived across our platforms through various features, community spotlights, women-led streams, always focused on visibility and real stories, showing what leadership in gaming actually looks like. So today, we're bringing Pink Pixels into a new chapter. This is our very first Pink Pixels episode in podcast format. So I'm Rebecca Dixon, founder and CEO of the Gamehers. And for this first episode, it felt right to start a conversation about true collaboration, growth, and building with intention. So I am so excited to be joined by Aisha Branch, founder of Vine Collective. She comes from outside the gaming industry, and that's exactly why this conversation matters. We made a deliberate choice to partner with a non-endemic agency that had passion and curiosity, a real commitment to learning our space alongside of us. So the episode will be about women founders building together, trusting the process, choosing partners who can see the big picture, and help you to scale without losing your values. So if you care about community and culture, creating impact in gaming and beyond, then you're in the right place. So let's get into it. Aisha, welcome to Pink Pixels. Yeah, so happy to have you here. I think that before we get into the work, let's talk about who are you when you're not building companies and solving problems for everybody else. You can introduce yourself a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Aisha. Thanks for the introduction. I am out of California. I live in Thousand Oaks. It's about an hour outside LA. And I live here with my husband and my son. He's 7. And so when I'm not working, which I work a lot, I am usually in mommy mode. Sports is taking over our life right now. So I don't really have a life of my own outside of like going for my workout, maybe having my glass of wine at the end of the day, little things like that. But yeah, that's really my life right now is sports.
I totally feel you on that. I am with you with having other, smaller humans in my life. And so, but it's great to be here today talking about, building companies and supporting companies. So you're a founder who builds with intention. What was the moment that you knew Vine Collective needed to exist and that you were the one to build it?
Yeah, so Vine Collective, just to give some background, is a marketing agency, and we specialize in brand building and go-to-market strategies, and then, of course, all of the work pods underneath, so social media, website, things like that. And one thing, I've spent over 15 years in marketing and consumer behavior, and I've worked with countless agencies in my tenure. And one thing that I always saw is when agencies were pitching businesses, they'd present their A team. But then when you got to the working team you were going to work with, they were the C team. And therefore, the work quality in the work wasn't always there, but you were paying that premium price that you were pitched in the beginning. And so like from that perspective, I was like, well, I didn't love that. And so I was like, after so many years of doing it, I'm like, I'm going to create a boutique agency that we guarantee our A team with every client, because we are experts and we want to continue to use our expertise and grow in our expertise in multiple industries. And so that's really what makes us different. And when I realized I need to change the relationship between the client and the agency so that they get the A team that they're really wanting.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I love hearing that origin story myself about you, because you are living that through your work for sure. And it's true, even I said to somebody the other day, who I was talking about you, and I said Aisha, and I said, oh, that's Vine. I think, we were looking at something at our company, and I was like, well, Aisha is Vine, and it was just
Yeah.
it's true that for us, you've been completely accessible at all times, and really kind of it's very obvious that value has been very well executed. So kudos to that, and I feel really lucky that we've been working together for a little bit now. And I'd love to, I remember when we first met and we started talking about the Gamehers, we started talking about Vine. And I know that, it's not that you're an agency that focuses on gaming. And so I'd love to know, what did you think gaming culture actually was like before you worked with us? And were there any assumptions that you had about gaming that got flipped once you started working here?
Yeah, I would say, my husband's a huge gamer. So, and I have family members that are very big gamers. So even though like I'm more of a cozy gamer, RPG, it's here and there, right now in life, but I always had an appreciation for gaming because one thing I used to love is my husband being a big gamer. He would sit up at night and you could see like the stress of his day, like just go off of him when he was on with his buds playing the game. And so I always knew that there was a community aspect to gaming, but I always thought like people had their game they played and that's what it was. But I've realized working with the Gamehers that, well, one, it helps me put more to the identity of the gamers. Like they're more than gamers. They're people that still have hobbies and still have desires and still want, like, they're individuals. And so it helped me understand like, oh, there's so much we can do with the Gamehers outside of even gaming. We can tie gaming into everything, but we can really meet these people where they are with multiple things in their life and tie gaming into that. And so that was one perspective I gained. And then also just like how big the girl gaming community is. Like, I'm around a lot of boys. So I see the boy gamers all the time and the trash talking. And I have loved to see just how many women gamers are like dedicated, are there, but also desire community. And that's what we love, is like building community and building, movements. And so it felt like a very good fit for us on the foundational level.
That makes a lot of sense. And that's, one of the questions I wanted to ask you, which is that in the same way that it could be said that we should have been looking for agencies that focus on gaming, it was, I don't necessarily agree with this, but it could be said it was an intentional, it was a risk, but for us it was an intentional risk. But to partner with a non-endemic agency, thinking, will they know enough about gaming? But what I hear you saying is something I agree with strongly. Of course you have to understand any industry you're working in, but gamers are humans, and that doesn't just mean one thing. So while it may have been an intentional, risk for us to work with a non-endemic agency, it feels like it might have been a little bit of a risk from your side too. And so I'd love to know what was it that made you say yes to the Gamehers?
What I really appreciated about the Gamers coming in is that, again, there was a huge desire, there was a huge need and a huge desire in the market.
Yeah.
And obviously you guys have, when we started working together, you already had been in the market, but there, surprisingly enough, there wasn't as big of a community compared to the Gamehers. Like, you guys really did create magic. You have created a magical community that is prosperous and flourishing. And really, when I saw that you guys from the foundational level understood that need and that desire, there, to me, I'm like, okay, well then we just have to build up from there.
Yeah.
And yes, there were parts where I'm like, I think the biggest thing for me was like, well, I know all the lingo.
Yes.
But the gaming lingo. But I feel like over the last 6 months, I've definitely been learning the lingo and the language. It also helps that my son's into the gaming world. So, he helped me learn all the the
lingo.
And stuff.
Yeah.
And what they mean. Yeah, the lingo. So, but yeah, it was really the fact that so sometimes I I'm always looking at the market as a whole, like multiple industries at a time. And in media, in gaming, in it doesn't really matter what industry you're in, like there's so much advancement in technology happening. There's advertising and information is coming at people faster and in like more than ever before. And so when you come across an organization that is really focused on the human and community and authenticity that we are losing a lot across different industries and across marketing, across, like social media, it's like, to me, that's a no-brainer. That's where people want to be.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily always know how to find it. And that's my job, is like, I'm wanting to find them as much as they're wanting to find us.
And I'm so glad you ended by saying that, actually, because as it's so funny, you think about topics, or I guess I should say, I was thinking about topics and questions that I thought would be great for us to discuss. And I mean, we talked about ahead of time, like, what should we talk about? And as I said this one actually out loud, I wanted to follow it up with, the question wasn't really intended for like a shameless plug for the gamers. Like, what did you think was so great about us? Why did you want to come? Although I do think that what you said is, it is what we're trying to do. And so it's so great that is sort of out there. But the real, I think, sort of, crux of your answer is, people are looking for us, and we want to find people, and making that connection. Community building, we have been around for a few years, and community building is not something, when it's done authentically, that is always easy to do quickly, and figuring out, finding the people that actually want to meet us. And so I know that when we started getting to know each other, it felt like you and what you've built at Vine were so well positioned in just sort of your first of all, your work speaks for itself, but also the way you think about things and your own kind of, values and understanding of community was something so aligned with us that I'm so thrilled that we're working together. And I think it's been a really good fit. And the other thing that I'll share, that you mentioned, working cross, or thinking about cross industries and multiple industries, and kind of people are more than one thing. And I think that that's such an important aspect when you think about gamers, or women gamers, or gamers, because they're not just people who play video games, period. They're multifaceted. And so this idea of gamers and gaming being niche is kind of outdated a little bit, in my opinion. And would you agree with that? That is outdated and wrong? And if so, why? Maybe you already answered it in saying, looking at the multiple industries.
I mean, I would say that gaming is not a niche. I would call it its own little industry, but there's niches within it, right? Like for example, the average person plays a game. If you think, like, my mom plays Words with Friends and Candy Crush Saga, that's a game.
Yeah.
Our kids are playing Minecraft and Fortnite, and all of us are playing a plethora of games. And then not only that, but things are constantly gamified across financial apps, across any apps we're using. They've created a gamified approach to it in a lot of ways, because they've learned that, there's something to this gaming that keeps people engaged, and they've now translated the gaming world into their apps and websites and their own industry. And so I would say that what the great thing is that it is a industry that really, it connects with people all the way down from toddler age all the way up to, to senior citizens. So in that way, it wouldn't be considered niche to me, but there's niches within that.
Yes.
And so our job at the Gamehers is to say, how do we connect with each of these niches, whether you like horror games, whether you like RPG games, whether you like mobile app games, how can we make sure that there's a place for you and a community that can help you foster your experience, or just like, the more that people who knows what that can do for your life. So again, just like, how can we build a community that has pods or niches within it that can support all of the people that really are gamers.
Yeah, I agree. We are a community of communities for sure.
Yes,
All
exactly. That's such a
often
great way to say
intersecting
it.
with each other. Um,
Yeah.
so, okay, well, that's gaming. That's how we came to be together. Let's talk founder to founder. What would you
Yeah, let's
say
do
is the
that.
hardest lesson for you while building and scaling as your own business as a woman, especially in rooms that often may not have been built for us?
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
loaded, I feel like that's a loaded question because that could be its
I
own
know, I
podcast
know.
we could talk about all day. Um, I would say like the biggest challenge for me has been, I think women, I mean, there's so many studies done and that about how like the challenges women face in the marketplace in as moms, like there's so many like hey, if you like for example, I'm just going to make something up. If you wear too much makeup to work, that sends a signal that you are trying too hard to get to the next level. If you don't wear enough, then you might not get that promotion because you don't fit the part. Like there's so many things that women have to think
Yeah.
about when it comes to like how they present themselves, how smart they are, how intelligent they are. And I definitely have faced that when building a business because I've always been, not always, there's been circumstances in which I enter the room and I'm assumed I'm not as smart because I'm a woman. And it doesn't have to be said, it's how they treat you and the responses they give to you. You know, you understand, like, okay, I see what's happening here. And I think the challenge has been for me is to fight the feelings of like imposter syndrome or feeling like I'm not good enough and knowing that I have to develop this thick skin if I want to be the business owner that I say I want to be. And so, how that looks like for me is I've had to basically say it's not right. It's like not fair per se, but challenge accepted. Like
Yes.
I've had to tell myself, like, I'm willing to go farther. I'm willing to do more work. I'm willing to work longer hours. I'm willing to pitch multiple more times than maybe a counterpart male would have to. But I'm willing to because that's how much I want it.
Yeah.
And that's been a big lesson for me is that like it's kind of like sorry, that's just the way it is, you know, and that sounds so harsh. It's like it's not fair. But I've had to accept that in order to say I want to go
I
further.
think it's great. I think it's great advice for for people who might be listening or watching this podcast after the fact, because first of all, we, as you know, we hosted our Power Play Level Up Day last week, and Rob from Zenny was sharing some advice when somebody asked, how do you handle imposter syndrome without feeling uncomfortable? And he gave such a great answer. It's been really stuck in my mind since then. And he said, you don't. It is uncomfortable. That was his answer. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just, there's nothing more to say on that. It is uncomfortable and you don't. And so if you find a way, then he expanded a bit on it. And I think that it is a little bit about what you're talking about, finding a way to be okay in that uncomfort. Is it unfair? Yes. Do you want it? Yes. Is that whole scenario uncomfortable and frustrating? Probably, but you work through it and power through it, and I think that makes a whole lot of sense. And the things that we have challenges, whether we're parents or all the differences that may or may not exist in different scenarios for women versus men. It's just it's charging ahead, and I think I think that you have done a really good job of sort of verbalizing that and how to get through it. That being said,
Yeah.
like you can. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to add to that too of like, can I add one more thing?
Yes,
Is
of
that okay?
course.
One other challenge is like beyond that, it's also where I'm sure everyone that has a social media account has been bombarded with, hey, you can achieve this success in this short amount of time. And, so like we feel this constant external pressure that like success really is there for you tomorrow. You just have to do three things, and like it's so false.
Yes.
And I had to realize like I had to stop comparing myself to what I'm seeing out on the internet of like how fast I should be successful, because there really isn't any magic trick to being successful or reaching your goals or building something. Because what you'll find is like how I always think about it is like going up a mountain. You always think like you're going to reach a peak, but the peak is not, it takes a long time to get there,
Right.
And like, so what I feel like, you go up this mountain, then you might hit a little bit of like, some level ground, and you take a breath, and then you realize, okay, I have to keep going. And so it's like constantly this uphill battle in a way, not uphill battle, but uphill climb,
Yes.
because depending on your goals, how you want to grow. But then, to me also, because of that, because like climbing an uphill having an uphill climb, dealing with all that imposter syndrome, it does something to you inside. Like, to me, entrepreneurship has been so much more than just growing a business. It's been a very internal, spiritual experience for me, because what it's done is it makes me like, like, for example, if I'm feeling imposter syndrome, it's like I have to really do the work to understand why are these things triggering me?
Yes.
Why do I feel so triggered by ABC? And you realize like, oh, I've had a lot of things within me that I've needed to work through. And if I want to get to that next level up on my climb, I have to do the work
I think
to do it.
I'm so glad that you added that. It's so relatable to me. I read two categories of books and like consume two main categories of podcasts, and they are, I mean, for work, I follow a lot of the everything in gaming, but outside of that, entrepreneurship is one, like women founders, building businesses, all of that is like one category. And then the other category that I consume a lot of media around is spirituality. I came to them from completely different parts of my life, for completely different reasons. And I find that every single day that goes on is exactly what you just said. They're so intertwined, so much so that sometimes a book that I'm reading that's very like businessy, and then one that is like super woo woo, will literally be saying the same exact thing. It is,
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
it's
Like
really
you have to do
fascinating.
the work. Yeah, and unpack the things in order to be a better leader, in order to like get over the hump so you can get to the next level you want to get to. It's just like it's so intertwined, and I don't think they speak enough about that. Like, I'm like, you hear constantly on the internet about how to tactically build a business, but like we don't talk about like the humanness or the human experience
Yes.
behind it. Like, truthfully,
Yeah,
you
and
know?
it's pretty deep. I mean, if I ever get asked, sometimes, and maybe we'll even do that here, like fire questions or one last thing that you'd leave a piece of advice or something like that. If I've been asked that, which I have in various conversations as a founder, I always answer my number one piece of advice, or the thing that I think has been the most helpful to me in building a business, is sleep. Like literally. And
Yes.
that's just for me, but I think it probably could help a lot of people. If I found, and it was, how I came to that as the most important thing was through trial and error, because I got one of the device I got an Aura ring that tracks my many things, but sleep among primarily. And for a full year, I was collecting all the metrics, and I was watching it, but it really hit me when I got my average sleep at the end of the first year that I had that. It was so low that I don't usually share it. It was alarmingly low. And I just said, you
Okay.
know what? That is going to decrease my lifespan. And
Absolutely.
also, there's no way I was doing my best work. Like, it's actually just impossible. So I just
Mhm.
intentionally, and it was a challenge actually. I've got young kids, and like all of us, a lot of different things that I want to do during my waking hours. But
Totally.
anyway, it's kind of a funny answer when you're thinking of like a lot. There are lots of other things that have been very valuable in building a business, like software and relationships and networking and all of that. But like for me, it's at the foundation of it all is I really, and I do not do a perfect job of it, by the way. I'm a little under rested this week because I've had things going on, and it's
Yeah,
it comes. But anyway, I'm so glad you mentioned that because wow, that really resonates with me personally. Um,
and it's real.
yeah,
It's real life.
yeah. So I'd love to talk a little bit more about you and Vine and what we've loved working with you for so many reasons. But I'll say one of them. This is really going to be two things. I'm going to say two things, but I think they're connected. I love how you work. I mean, we work with you. We have an agreement, right, about how we work together. It could be something that was just like, okay, here's our agreement, and it's like completely transactional, but it's like not that at all. It feels very, not just feels, it is collaborative. And I think one of the reasons, in my opinion, that I've seen from you is that you and Vine have an incredible ability to zoom out. So you obviously zoom in a lot in terms of like posting and brand identity and graphics and really specific things to execute, but to be able to do that and then and zoom out, I that became visible to me that you do that immediately when we started working together because of the questions that you asked and just about our business as a whole. And it's been probably the main thing I love working about you and always just want to work more and more. So I guess I'd ask you, why? How did you figure out that big picture thinking is so critical when actually what we kind of specifically asked you if you could help us with was like, nurturing and growing our community to meet those people? How did you know that was the thing?
Well, I think it's because part of my background is in retail psychology and consumer behavior. So I actually didn't start in marketing. I started my career in retail buying at Target headquarters.
Wow.
Which I think is a valuable thing to talk about with women or anyone really that, feel like they have to pick a major or they have to do other, like, it's like, you don't, we can switch, like there's value in switching careers. There's synergy between one industry to another, one expertise to another. But I became an expert in really human behavior and psychology because I ran a $400 million business within Target Corporation. I ran their biggest apparel and accessories division or department, I should say. And with that expertise, we were constantly looking at the market, constantly looking at macro and micro influences, like what were things influencing people's behavior and how it influenced how they think and how they operate and how they make decisions. And so that was my world for like 7 years.
Wow.
But then I went into marketing because I felt like a lot of people had technical skills of marketing, but they didn't have that foundational psychology knowledge that marketing, I believe, requires of people. And so that's why we are always taking a step back because we were hired with gamers to do social media. And it's not just someone sees a post and then they follow you and they do all these actions. It's like they have to see you multiple times. They have to see you multiple places. And so my job of like zooming out is to understand who are we trying to target? And then like, what do they care about every single day? What are their needs? What are their fears? What are their motivations? What are their struggles? If we can understand how our audience and our community is thinking and what they're worried about and, what their days look like, then we can connect with them more naturally across multiple channels, across multiple places. And so that's why I zoom out a lot because I have to understand, okay, Susie Q, she's who we are wanting her in our community. We think we would be a value to her and her a value to us. So I need to understand what is going on with Susie Q.
Yeah.
And therefore, then how do I connect with her in the right places to make that goal of us connecting in a community come true? And so that's why, to me, it's like it's so much bigger than like social media or so much bigger than just like advertising. It's like they all kind of have to work together. And so that's why I come in like, if I can understand your business, I can understand like top of funnel to the bottom funnel, like how they're coming to us, how they end up becoming a member with us, then I can start seeing the gaps of like, okay, well, we're not serving Susie Q here. We're not serving her here. We're not providing value here. And then we can close those gaps so that she feels that we value her. and we create the place and nurture her into the place that we want her to be.
That's incredibly fascinating that your background at Target, because it makes so much sense. And I think, you know what,
Yeah.
I've always thought about community building. My background, by the way, many years ago, but it is what my corporate background was in media buying. So we sat
Oh,
next to, alongside media planners, and brands connecting with people on certain demographics is something I've thought about my whole career. That being said, though, to age myself, it was a totally different landscape when I was media buying, because the place that brands met their people was basically TV and a little print. And so it's not that the ethos of how you think about it is different, but it's just so multifaceted now. But when I switched from that corporate world, which I did for about a decade, into an entrepreneur and have been in community building spaces since then, it's always started grassroots, right? And so in a grassroots way, it's like you build a community a little bit and then use that community to, it's always been something at the Gamers that we've said, sort of, reach back out to that community, figure out who Susie Q is, what she wants. Are we providing that, or could we provide it? Because to the conversation, or to the topic that we were talking a few topics ago, we have a lot of communities in our community. And so I think you've been very helpful in helping us identify what the different sub-communities in our community, who they are, what they might want. Are we offering that? Can we offer that? And it's almost like making those, it's like matchmaking, but not on such a specific level. Just,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
So I think I love that there's a psychology, element of your background, because it makes a lot of sense. And it seems like,
Yeah,
at some level, even if people aren't necessarily having a degree in psychology, thinking about the psychology of your community is probably always a
exactly.
good idea. So that's,
And if psychology isn't part of your major, make it an elective.
yeah,
You will not regret it. That and sociology. Do it, do it, do it if you're in college. I completely recommend that. But yeah, I agree. Like, I think like where we come from at Vine Collective is like, and what brands do not like to admit, no matter what industry you're in, we are in a world now where it is not about trying to get someone to buy from you at touch point one or touch point two, because people are getting advertisements, instant gratification all the time. We have to, as brands, go and provide value to our people first. And that is one thing the Gamers does so well. And that's one thing that attracted me to the Gamers, is that we are wanting to provide value to our community first. Of course, we need, finances to run, but that's not at least how we come into our community. That is not our number one thing. It's about creating a safe space for women gamers. That is our number one, and it bleeds through all we do here. And that is something that Vine likes to get behind, because if we all can collectively agree that the value to our community comes first, then from there we could build anything, and we can, the finances will come. But businesses don't like to embrace that because it's a little bit more of the long game.
yeah,
But this is the world we live in today.
yeah. And I was just gonna ask you, but you just answered it. What is the thing that separates brands that grow loudly versus brands that grow, the right way? And I don't know if you have more to say on it, but that seems like that's it. Like the understanding that you've got to provide value for a community, potential community members to want to join.
Yeah, I mean, but brands are spending millions of dollars on ads and ad media buying daily, and but they don't want to invest anything into community building, or they don't want to invest in affiliate marketing and by any like garnishing their community to build the community. So it's like they don't want to put anything behind that, and those are the brands that I believe are going to they're going to fall behind,
Yeah.
because in a world where people, it's like, especially since COVID, it's like technology has advanced so much, you don't need to be in front of humans. Humans now crave humans.
Yes.
People want authenticity. They're like, especially the younger generation, they are so aware of they do not trust brands, right?
Yes.
So they trust human beings because they think brands lie, and which they have. Like brands have, as a whole, have created our own monster,
Yeah.
And so I think the youngins especially, I mean, are waking up to that and being like, you're not going to trick me. I need to see
Yeah.
what's
I
real.
see you.
Yeah, I see you. Like I'm not I'm not stupid. Um, and the brands that are responding to that and shifting their strategies to align with that belief system and value system of people, those are the ones that are going to succeed. And that's why the Gamehers, to me, is very much a community that will be here for years to come, be decades to come, because that is the value we hold.
Well, thank you for that. I certainly hope that's true and believe that as well. So let's talk about impact. Do you think brands in gaming are having an impact, or that I guess I should say, do you think our work together is having an impact on how women-led brands are showing up in gaming and tech?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's bringing awareness that women gamers are half of the gaming community.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that people like us as women gamers, we know that, but the world doesn't know that. And so for so long, how we build our marketing strategies, how we build our games, they're more geared towards the male audience. But now we're seeing this change and shift that because there's more awareness around women gamers, there's more games coming out, there's more community events coming out, more global markets are joining it in women gaming, building women gaming products. And so to answer your question, I think that there is this realization that women gamers is a huge market that have been untapped, and now we're seeing that brands want a part of it. And that's why you're seeing, I mean, even celebrities are seeing, like, the gaming community is humongous. Like, you see these celebrities joining Fortnite and doing
And athletes.
shows on Fortnite, and athletes. Like, it is a huge community, and now you're seeing that more play out in the women's gaming space as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, thinking about the fact that you personally have came to this and have now have had a ton of experience in gaming, has that changed the way you think about culture and audience and influence broadly? Are you seeing things that maybe you didn't see before and you think are the world is of course changing and understanding that, and it seems like it's been kind of a long road, and maybe still a long road to go, of educating, some people that, by the way, a lot of people are gamers, even if it's not their number one identity. And
yeah, absolutely.
I feel that for me, since I founded the Gamers, which has been a few years now, and also I was not endemic to gaming, and I'm not. I was endemic to, or I had experienced community building, but in the parenting universe, and so I feel like I'm still learning and thinking about things differently. Like, wow, gaming is everywhere, and I guess I just didn't see it as much before, and now I do. And so it's kind of been a fun shift and learning experience for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's like we kind of talked about, like, gamers are everywhere, even if they don't identify as such. Like, like, it's so funny. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, my mom, I'm gonna put my mom on there. I'm gonna expose her a little bit, but like, she loves playing Words with Friends. She plays games like that on her phone.
Mine too.
Okay. And she loves doing the New York Times games every day. That's her thing. But then if she sees, a man or a woman play a little bit too much video games from her perspective, she's just like, what a waste of time. But I'm sitting here like, you do the same thing, just in a different capacity. Like, you are doing it on your phone.
Yes.
Maybe for, 40 minutes, and someone's doing it in their basement on the TV for, an hour and a half or 2 hours or however long. Like, and I think, like, it's so funny to see, like, a little bit of the bias in the industry as well. And just like how through but then so there's like that, and like exposing that bias, like even between male gamers and female gamers, like
Yes.
exposing that bias, and now that's creating its own movement. But then the gaming industry for so many years has mastered the art of in like engagement and retention. And at CES a few weeks ago, we talked about microtransactions. And I think that's like one of the, like, it was a phenomenon in a sense, because now what you're seeing is under other industries are taking that same methodology of like, okay, well, we have audiences that can't spend, you know, $60 at one time, like because these are kids, these are young
Yeah.
adults. But what we can do is offer them the game for free, and then you know you can buy different things through microtransactions with your budget, and you're so it's still profitable. It's a profitable model, and it keeps people engaged because they're constantly coming back for the new things.
Yep.
You know, and now you're seeing it in other industries where they're taking that same methodology because they understand that it's kind of it grabs the consumer a little easier, because it's like if I make you pay for something for $4, you're more likely to convert and use it than if I ask you for $30 up front or $60 up front. You know what I mean? So we're seeing that in the entertainment space. We're seeing that like with even Netflix is like going to be testing out some like vertical short type
Yep.
things that are possibly going to be microtransactions in the future. We're seeing that across multiple industries now. And that really, I believe, from my understanding, is it really started a lot in the gaming industry is really kind of what blew that up.
Yeah. Well, when
And
you think
so,
about the verb or the adjective gamified, like the gamified version of,
yeah,
whatever, or, you mentioned this earlier, like things that are completely not in the gaming industry are gamified, but that thought
absolutely.
process originated in gaming. So it's,
Yeah. And but like,
no,
sorry, go
go,
ahead.
go.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I love the gaming industry because it kind of encompasses everything that creates a true like member or follower, whatever you want to call them. It's a game, so there's storytelling involved. It's competitive. A lot of times it's competitive. There's milestones. People thrive on trying to meet milestones or competitiveness. There's microtransactions, so there's ways to like convert people through a smaller ask instead of a bigger ask. There's so many things that us as business owners and marketers and brand builders can learn from the gaming industry, because and not only that, but there's education. So there's just so much to the gaming industry that we all can learn from. And like the gaming industry is so much in the media, when I think like media and entertainment, it's the ultimate cult following. Like it started the cult following in a sense from a media perspective,
Yes.
like reaching people all over the world
Yeah.
around one centered
A
thing
fandom.
that keeps them engaged for years. Yeah, a fandom. Thank you. Like for years. So there's so much to me, like there's so much we can learn from the gaming industry, and it's been around a long time, but I think more and more people are becoming more aware of the benefits and the risks of
Yeah,
gaming
I think so
and
too.
what it
And
can
it's
do.
funny you just said that, because that's what I was going to say. The other thing, the piece about the gaming industry that I think continues to be modified in the media, but it still could use a little bit of massaging, is of course the risks of gaming in certain situations, and too much and the wrong, if young children are playing games that maybe they're not ready for. That all is an important topic, and in professional gaming around mental health and protecting gamers, all of that. Also, the benefits and value to participating in video games are broad and important to be discussed, because of a lot of the things you just said. And I could even add on things like leadership and hand-eye coordination and teamwork, and I mean it goes on and on and on. And so to be able to sort of separate those two things and be able to address the potential risks and the potential value, both of which are really important and
Yep.
meaningful in today's universe. So thank you for bringing that up. Well, I know we've talked about so many different things. I think I want to just let you know that I'm so impressed with what you've built at Vine Collective, and you as a founder, you as a person are an absolute pleasure to work with, and also, your execution on what you've done with us at the Gamers has just been phenomenal. So I'd love to hear, for my personal knowledge and also for anybody who might be listening or watching, what advice would you give to women founders who are building something that's maybe bold, a little scary, but very much their own, just like you have?
Well, I would say as a founder, you're going to have times where you feel, like we said, very uncomfortable. You're probably going to feel a lot of fear. And my biggest thing that I live by and have since I started my business is feel the fear and do it anyway. Because you have nothing to lose by trying. It's funny because even though I'm getting a little older now, it's like, I remember being in my 20s. So I'm speaking to the women in their 20s or early 30s, maybe even younger. Like, you feel like you're so behind already. And then you realize, oh my gosh, when you're older, you had plenty of time then and you have plenty of time now.
Totally.
You just got to keep chipping away little by little at your dream, at your vision. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Don't give up on yourself. You'll 5 years down the road, you'll look back and be so proud of yourself that you did.
I love that.
Because the fear is going to be there, but just don't let it stop you.
Gosh, that's incredible. That's an incredible statement. And I'm gonna remember that, because I agree with you. I believe in that, and I try to do it, but it's hard. And so I feel like even I also am not super even near my 20s, but I do remember them. But I think that advice goes for any age at any point along the line.
Yeah.
And because even when you look back at the last 5 years, for me, if I look back at the last 5 years and think, I'm really proud of what we've built at the Gamers, for example, it doesn't mean that there's things that come up constantly where there's fear, because, it's this thing that we're all experiencing together called life, and things come up. So thank you for that. And just thanks for spending time with us. Thanks for being a part of the team. I'm so honored to have been able to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, I've loved being a part of this team as well. And I'm excited for what we're building and can't wait for our community to learn more about what we're building in this year and the years to come.
Me too. And I'll say, this conversation is a really, really good reminder for me that growth does not come from doing everything alone. It does come from choosing the right people to build with you, who can see the big picture, challenge your thinking, and stay aligned with your values. So we certainly have that with you, Aisha, and everybody at Vine Collective. We are super intentional about who we work with, because community first brands, as you said, don't scale by accident. It's trust and a shared vision. So for everyone listening, if you're a woman founder building something bold, do not wait for permission. Find collaborators like Aisha who get it, who respect your mission, and who are willing to grow with you. I think with that, we're coming to a close. So thanks for coming, Aisha.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for listening to PinkPixels. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And we will see you next time.